Just stopped up the road from one of my apiaries back there, just to show you this chestnut. This whole hillside you can see is basically just chestnut. It's absolutely incredible. I've got just taken a high definition clip for you to show you now. My point is, you can see the potential in the chestnut if you get it good. If it goes right and it's warm enough, and usually most years it is. The last 2 years have really been crap, but this year we seem to have a good flow, and it's in full flow right now. So we're just kind of holding in there, fingers crossed. We'll see how it goes. Everything is super. There's good bees in a lot of the colonies. But when you see that, it just gives you the encouragement to battle on, because you really want to get a tap onto that. You know, it's incredible. And the bees go all the way there for you and do the work. You just got to get them somewhere near and in a reasonable state. But that is just incredible. And this year I'm really smelling that stink. I'm seeing the greeny yellow colored bees in the hives, and it is the best I've seen for a long time. However, we are at least a week late, so maybe we have another full week left, because there's no way that's going to stop nectaring tomorrow. That's going to give nectar for another week at least, so it's good news. So I'm glad I put the supers on. I have none left in the truck now. That's all I've got left in all my apiaries. So I've got to get some more out, get the brand new ones into action, get them drawn up and see what I can do. But it's good news. This has been a long time coming. Last year was mediocre as well. This year is so much better. That, incidentally, in the front is rapeseed that's just drying out now. And that'll be combined pretty soon. But it's just drying in its pods. That is overwintered wheat or corn that's now drying out as well. It's an incredible amount of chestnut around this area. You can see it right round to there. There's some in the valley here, and there's a load at the back there, a load over there. It's just like everywhere. And I could take you anywhere in Brittany this time of year and you'd see exactly the same. So that is good news. We are optimistic. Just got back this morning. There was quite a bit of activity around this box here, so I put a Nazanoff ampoule in it, and it seems to have done the job, because there's a massive swarm arrived behind it. So now we've got to find the queen, which will be pretty easy in that, and this is a rather big one, so I'm quite surprised. That's quite impressive, isn't it? You can actually see they've actually started to pull wax on the side of the building. I'm just looking to see if I can see the queen, but I don't know where she is. She's going to be here somewhere. This is obviously a prime swarm. It could be one of mine from the valley. I just don't know. But I gave this box a Nazanoff this afternoon, and it attracted them here, and she didn't go in. But she's obviously somewhere in this pile. So I thought maybe if I scoop some handfuls of baby bees off the wall and then slowly get them into the hive, they'll all come in like that. Look at the wax they've pulled. It's amazing. These aren't as docile as the previous one. Well, we got one queen. I don't know whether it's the queen. I would assume not, because I think that is a virgin, but they're all crowding around her. And when I take her away, they're not happy, so I presume that's her. So, can't see any other queen now. I've been through this a few times. You can see how big that swarm was all afternoon. I was out most of the afternoon. I reckon it came 2 or 3 hours after I left. So I've been gone about 6 hours this afternoon, and most of them are now going into the box, so we'll just see. But there you go, all the fun of the fair of having a bee yard. I do wonder if there's another queen in the bottom there, but we shall see. Still, first swarm I've ever had on my building. That's the third one then this week. So never had any swarms here before, but there's 2 gone into the boxes here. One over there I showed you came the other day at the start of the flow. They're now pretty well established. They finished cleaning it out. They're pretty nice. They seem to have a mated queen. This one came in yesterday. They've been cleaning out the box. They're not huge, but they're not tiny. They'll do fine. They'll make it up good for the winter. And the third one there. So we shall see. It is what it is. Beekeeping personified. So I'm up at the buckwheat this afternoon just to do a quick check. It's gone off a little bit, but we've still got an amazing amount of bees coming in. We've got chestnut in flower, I mean all around as well. But you know what, these hives are absolutely stinking of it. They're looking pretty good. So I've just pulled out one super frame and basically pretty pleased with what I'm seeing. So I can get it back out. They're getting stung to pieces, but pretty happy. That is a full super. So I'm putting another one. I should have put this other super on 2 days ago because the flow's so good. I mean, look at that. Look at that for, they are just pouring this nectar in. So everything here is going to have a second or third super depending on how strong they are. So I know these are going to need 2 supers, but everything is going to have a super on top of the brood nest because it's quicker for them at this stage when you have a full super to get to this one. But I'm actually toying with the idea of putting 2 on because there's so much honey coming in, so much nectar, and the chances they'll have at least another full week of nectar, at least with these. And with the state of the chestnut being in full flower, I think it's a wise call, and I'll get 2 loads built up. So there you go, looking pretty fine and dandy. Pretty nice. Let's just drag that frame out I got out before, and you'll see what I mean. Three-quarters cap there already. I mean, it's just terrific. So I'm extremely happy with that. To know I'm going to have some honey already this year is the real bonus, and I'm eternally grateful for that considering how bad it's been this year. So these are doing great. So there we are. Good results so far. Just look at that buckwheat. I've taken a little bit of brood out of that one because that one is ultra strong. That's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 supers, which I've never ever used before, but it is just full of bees. The one next door is the same. Progressively down the line, there's some greater and lesser ones, a few weaker ones here. So I'm adding them a frame of brood and boosting them because this is going to last 3 or 4 weeks yet because we had a nice lot of rain last night. You can see the ground is wet here. We had some rain last night and really was a really good drop of rain. But we've already got nectar in. You can see these are also building out, these frames. These are the brand new ones I put in literally a couple of days ago. And there's the wax being drawn. This is the Nico Baticad that we use. We take this out of the packet and we just put it on and they draw it up. Now, if you put this now into a 9, they would probably carry on building that. If you put it into an 8, they might start building between the frames. But once overall it's built, you can then move these to an 8 if you need to. So the ones up here, they're on 10s. The ones here, they're on 8s, most of those. But they've all been juggled around because I've been in the truck. But they're going to get another super as well because I know we've had some rain now. And we've got a little bit of warm weather coming up this week, 24 degrees. It'll be absolutely pouring in. So it's just a bit of an update, but just to say, we do build these on 10s. We don't add anything to the frames. We don't wax them, pre-wax them. We just leave the bees. As long as you get the spacing right, they will build those up in a good flow. But you need a flow, really. You can't get bees to build wax unless you have nectar going in or artificial nectar, aka syrup. But it's worth doing because getting frames built is expensive in terms of honey. But when you've got a flow like this, and you've got a lot of bees in a colony, it does give the bees something to do. So you really need to think about, as well as giving your forager bees plenty of work, which we've got, you've got to give your house bees that have been born, and there's a lot of young bees in these colonies because they had a dearth and they've re-strengthened. You need to give those girls something to do, and if you give them some frames to build in a flow, they will draw them all up. They just love doing that. It's their job. So harness that power, harness that need, give them something to do. It might cost a bit. Yes, it's expensive in honey. You might lose a little bit, but to have clean drawn frames is the absolute elixir of beekeeping. That's what you want. So those won't sit there over the winter empty, and next summer or next spring even, they'll be put into boxes of 8, and they'll be used for spring honey as well. Just keeping that circulation going. Look at the honey on this, looking absolutely great. I've just smoked these bees down so you can see. Look, number 1, number 2 are back filled up with honey. Number 9 and number 10 are back filled with honey, and number 7 and number 3 are often variable amounts. But this is exactly what we like to see. You remember I showed you a video in Chestnut land about 6 weeks ago, and everything was empty. It was 2 empty frames either side with nothing in. This is what you get when you have a change of flow. Just drag this one out. There's a nice weight to it. There's brood and honey in the frame. Loads of eggs and larvae. Look at that honey on the left hand and right hand side there. Absolutely special, that is. There's the drones on this side. You always get drones. Just mention, one of the things you can almost tell instantly if you've got a colony that's swarmed but it's still got a lot of bees in it, is you will have drones throughout the colony if the queen has gone. When she's in, she'll keep them to the edges, and that's generally how it works, if you didn't know that. Now, a lot of people might say, oh, of course we know that, but it's not common knowledge. And one of the ways of telling, there is numerous ways of telling if your colony is swarmed, but one of them is seeing drones throughout the colony, because there's no order. There's no boss in charge. She's gone. She's in a tree somewhere or in another hive. And what's left, the bees are left to sort it out for themselves. And until one queen takes over, there'll be this random mess. And often they're more aggressive and runny, as you know. Often there'll be backfilled nectar in the colony. Often they'll be slower in bringing nectar in, and you'll just see a mess. And there'll be no fresh eggs anywhere, just probably 3 to 5 day old larvae and older. None of that fresh eggs in areas where bees have just hatched out. Just something to mention though. Read your colonies, get to learn how they should look. When there's a good flow on, everything will be full, but the center brood nest should be empty of nectar. In most cases, most of it will be in the supers above, and that's what bees love to do. They love to move nectar from the inside to the top, and we can do this now, this time of year, because we've got a good configuration of bees. There's an equal amount of bees in the colony that are able to participate in that, passing nectar through, receiving it from a forager bee, taking it up into the colony and putting it in the right place. And when you get a big population, they are able to do that. This one needs another super because 2 are full. It's on its third, but I'm going to give it more space because this, as I said, we've just had some rain, a lot of it, a good 20 mil, half an inch, which is absolute bonus for this. And there's more forecast, but it's warm. And look at the bees flying. They are just pouring this stuff in. And you can see the state of the crop still. It's relatively young. There's loads of young flowers still coming. It really is a good scenario at the moment. Not so much with other flowers. We've got chestnut, and if you can show you any chestnut, there's one over there, for example. But it's kind of, we're on the back end of the chestnut now. If we have another week of it, I'll be surprised. But there is also a lot of bramble. So things are really good. If we just keep that reasonable weather, they can fly. In one respect, the weather not being too hot has prolonged the flowering period. So I'm just making plans for these colonies. There's no problem with adding an extra when the third one is already being built up in there. And if you're going to be on a flow for at least another week. This is what I did before here. I added 2 last time I was here, do you remember? Then I came back and gave it a third. I've just given, a fourth, and I'm giving it a 5th today. There's some space in there, and I've also taken out 3 frames from in there because there's so much brood in there that I've given it to a colony that's queenless. Actually, it's that one, so that they can have bees, and so I can get a queen back in there. They're not drone laying yet, but they're nearly on the point of it. So I want them to bring in a little bit of honey if they can. Just take the pressure off this one. I don't think it will swarm, but you never know with the size of the flow. So that's what I've kind of done. So they've got a little bit of room inside to refill, takes the pressure off of that. We call it decompressing the inner core. The outside frames are full. They're putting that honey up. I haven't taken any bees away. I've just taken some nurse bees to give to this colony when they hatch, and some larvae and eggs, so maybe they might feel about making a new queen. But it's keeping that colony in a positive state while there's brood present, and switching off any potential laying workers until I can make some queens. Yes, next week I'm stocking the cell builder, I'm raising some queens, so I'll be able to come up here and pop a cell in, so that even though this one won't give me a split, and it might not give me much honey, at least it will be a viable colony by the end of the season to go through the winter, and I won't have had to put it into a nuke, and it will stay as a hive because it will make good size before the end of the year. That's my point about all this. Every colony I assess and think, how much can I get out of this? That's what beekeepers have to do. You have to think, what can this colony do for me? How can I keep it at its best and its optimum performance, so that cunningly I can take a bit off of it in terms of a split. It might give me some nectar as long as there's enough either side, as we've talked about. But that's just so important with beekeeping, is to overall look at your bees and keep that goodness and that well-being of your colonies in mind. Because you can't take and take and take from bees. You've got to always look on the side of good feeding.